Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I have an extra special review for you guys. I am actually reviewing two cars in one video. So right now I'm in a 1992 Toyota Crown Wagon. And before we get into the video, if you look in the bottom right hand corner of the video, you'll see two dots, a red dot and a blue dot. The red dot will signify that I'm talking about the Wagon, the car that I'm in currently right now. The blue dot will signify that I am in the saloon or the sedan or the four-door, whatever you want to call it. If both dots are present, that means it applies to both cars. So up front in the Wagon, we have a 2.5 liter inline six. It is a 1JZ non-turbo, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. The other car in this review is this. This is a 1991 Toyota Crown Sedan. Up front in the sedan is a 4.0 liter V8. It is the popular 1UZ, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. So first we'll talk about the 1JZ. Like I said, it's a non-turbo. It's a very smooth engine still, but it's not the 1J that everyone fell in love with. By that, I mean, it's not quick. It's not a fast engine, but it's still a very smooth engine, which is interesting. It's sort of an interesting take on the 1JZ. The 1J we all know as the predecessor of the 2J, which we think speed, we think building it, we think big turbo. But actually, it's really calm, it's really quiet. As you guys can tell, it's a really quiet, calm, smooth car. And both the sedan and the Wagon are very smooth cars. That's gonna really be the overlying idea here in these reviews, is that these are smooth cars. And so the 1J doesn't shout, it doesn't brag. It revs to about 6,500 and it takes a little while to get there, but it's smooth and it's elegant, and I really like that. All right, we're gonna do a little pull here in the Wagon, 1JZ non-turbo. Yeah, it's not fast. It's definitely not fast, but it still does pull pretty linearly. It does start to die off about 5,500. It starts to sort of level off, at least in the power range, but it's smooth. Like it's so quiet, it's so luxurious, and I'm sure part of that sound deadening and stuff, of course, but it's just such a nice ride, and it's a nice engine. It doesn't shout at me. I think pleasant is the best word for it. Now, the 1UZ in this sedan is a lot more powerful than the 1J found in the Wagon. It has a lot more grunt, has a lot more edge to it, a lot more bite to it, and I really like that. I think personally, I would probably take the V8 just because I do like the sound of it, and I like having more power. Not that there's anything wrong with the NA 1J, but this thing is just, it's meaty. I guess that's really all I could say. All right, so the 1UZ, we'll give it a punch in. It sounds great. It pulls a lot harder than the Wagon does. And you gotta love a 1UZ. You gotta love a 1UZ. They sound amazing. It is a 4-speed automatic, and nothing really to complain about here. I do have sport modes, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, and nothing really mentionable either. And last but not least, the Wagon is rear-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have two pretty plain gauges. On the right is my tachometer, and on the left is my speedometer, of course, in kilometers. It's a Japanese car. I do have fuel on the left and coolant on the right, as well as, of course, little warning buttons and a little readout for what gear I'm in. Okay, so now we are in the sedan, and the gauges, holy crap, they are digital gauges. They might be the coolest gauges I have ever seen, ever. On the steering wheel, I actually don't have any buttons. I do have the Crown logo, which I really like. It's not the Toyota logo. It's actually, the Crown has its own logo, which really sort of pushes this idea of its own luxury brand. Sort of like how the Mustang has its own logo, separate from Ford, but it's still a Ford. This is still a Toyota, but it's also like the Crown name carries a lot of weight. On the door, I do have power windows and auto driver's window, which you hit a different button for it to be auto. So you can go up and down with that center little button, or you click the button actually stays down, and then it pops back up once it's done rolling down. I can hit it once and roll it right back up. That's a really nice feature. And I do have power folding mirrors, which again is absolutely huge, especially for 1992. In the center, I do have a digital clock on the dash. I really like it. I like the digital clock a lot. I love digital clocks in cars. Like in the Wagon, I do have a digital clock up in the center, and I really, really like that. It's a nice, simple, easy to read clock. But one of the coolest buttons in the Crown sits right below the digital clock, and it says swing. Now you might be wondering, what does swing mean? Well, you hit that and the fans, the air conditioning and heating fans, actually start to oscillate. They actually start to go back and forth. I don't know of any other car I've ever driven that actually does this, and it's super, super cool. Then I do have some AC controls on the dash, and then getting down below, I have even more AC controls. To the left of the AC controls would be the factory radio here in the Wagon, but the Wagon has had its radio swapped out for a newer one, because normally I would say that radios in the 90s were absolute junk. But let's jump over into the saloon, because that radio is not junk. Now, the Sedan's radio is something very, very special. It is a TV, a touchscreen TV in 1991. It's insane. I mean, it is super cool. I have no idea what the buttons do, but you can go through all these different menus, stuff like that, and it's just really, really cool. Then I have a pop-out ashtray, a pop-out little secret hatch. Down below the radio in the Sedan, we do have a bunch of climate control options. We do have a little hideaway ashtray as well. And we actually have a CD player, tape player, with a couple different settings for acoustic position, and something in Japanese I can't quite read. If anyone actually knows Japanese, please leave it in the comment section down below. If you can read anything, just put a timestamp and what it says, because I don't know what half this stuff says. If you know anything that the radio says, please leave it in the comments. But I do have a bunch of different audio options here in the Sedan, a lot more than in the Wagon. Then I have the shifter, nothing too crazy there. Like I said, it's a 4-speed auto, same as the Wagon, but this does have not only a sport mode, but it has air suspension. So it takes a while to air up and down, but it actually does have air ride suspension. You can adjust not only the firmness, but the ride height, which is really, really cool. Behind the shifter, I do have a sort of clamshell little holder, and then I have a glove box. In the Sedan, I also have the same sort of clamshell little holder in the middle. The seats are nice and comfortable. They are a sort of 90s cloth, and I actually do really miss cloth seats like this. They just don't make cloth seats quite like they used to. Which brings me to the back seat. We will do a back seat review here in the Wagon. All right, so we're in the back of the Crown Royal Saloon Wagon, and it's not super spacious back here. My knees do hit this front seat, but I do have these nice grab handles up here, and the seats actually are adjustable. I can actually lean them back and such, and interestingly enough, this is the Wagon. It has unfolding rear seats, so it does technically have a third row facing backwards that fold out of the floor, which is super, super cool. I think that's really, really cool. You could fit technically 7 people in here, which is awesome. But the coolest thing I personally think in the trunk is that there is a mini fridge in the side. It works off of the air conditioning of the car, and it is a mini fridge, so you can put whatever you want in there and it'll cool down. But overall, not a bad back seat, plenty of headroom. I can fit almost, 2 fists above my head. You get that nice estate roof line where it goes all the way back. I do have little lights here on the side. I have power windows, speakers in the doors, and you have to remember this is 92. I mean, you know, this is modern stuff. Like my Pontiac G6 doesn't even have speakers in the back doors, and it's 2007. I mean, like, this is very advanced for its time. Down below here, I do actually have my own controls for the air conditioning. So I have low, AC on and off, and then I actually have controls for the front radio. Now the front radio has since been changed out in the Wagon, but not in the Sedan. So let's jump on over to the Sedan and do the backseat review, because I have a lot more to say in that car. So now we're in the back of the Sedan. There's no real good place to put the GoPro because there is no sunroof in this car, so I apologize for the weird angle. But lots to talk about back here. First of all, I do have power rear seats. There's a button on the door that says seat. I can move it forward and back. Power, which is absolutely awesome. Speaking of power seats, the seat that is currently behind the camera, the passenger seat, actually can move as well, and there are buttons on the side. So the rear passenger who's sitting directly behind the front passenger can actually move the seat forward or back if they want more legroom here in the back. That's one of the main reasons why I think this is more of a luxury car. This is a car to be driven around in as opposed to actually driving. I do have a big center console, really, really nice, really deep. And then up behind me, I have two super woofers, whatever, super woofers, and I do have a fridge as well back here that works off the AC just like I do in the wagon. Really, really nice back seat, and of course I can watch TV, talk to my driver, move the seat forward, take a good nap, whatever. I have vents up here, and I do have AC controls and TV controls down here at the bottom, so I can change the TV station, whatever I want from down here, as well as turn on or off the AC, turn it up, turn it down, without having to even speak to the driver. This is a cool back seat. This is a car you want to ride in. Last thing about the wagon is I do have a sunroof that pops out. It's a manual sunroof. You just pop it out with a little hand latch, and that's really it. So let's move on to looks. I love the look of both cars, but let's focus on the wagon for now. I think the wagon looks great. It definitely has that 90s sort of boxiness, which I absolutely love. I'm not the biggest fan of the taillights. Taillights are sort of in my book, but I mean, just the whole car together really looks great. These are aftermarket wheels, but overall, I really, really like it. I like the white color. I think it adds that classiness, and it doesn't really stick out. It's not one of those JDM cars that every single person that sees you is going to be like, whoa, what is that? It looks fairly average. It could probably pass off as a 90s Subaru, but to those who know, they know. So let's talk about the looks of the sedan now. The sedan has a little bit different front grille, obviously has a different rear end because it's not a wagon, and I like it equally. These are the stock wheels. Unlike the wagon was on aftermarket wheels. These are the stock wheels, and I have to say, they look so good just stock. It has the crown emblems. Overall, I honestly think this is a very classy, very cool looking sedan. So let's talk about the Crown as a whole, the Crown as a car, because now that I've driven both cars, it's really, really impressive to me what Japan was capable of in the 90s. But between this and the saloon, these cars were so packed with luxurious items, things that we don't even find really today or really find anymore. It's mind-blowing that this was the early 90s in Japan. Like, the saloon has traction control, or the TV in the dash. The digital gauges are amazing. This still has the oscillating air vents. It has that auto power window. It's comfortable. They both have refrigerators. I mean, the list just goes on and on. These vehicles are insanely impressive. And I wanted to compare these to Crown Vics when I first got in the car to review. I really wanted to compare them to Crown Vics because they're big sedans and, you know, the V8 rear-wheel drive, automatic only. But no, these blow Crown Vics out of the water. Crown Vic is no comparison to this. And this car was really 10 years before the Crown Vic that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of like an early 2000s Crown Vic, the one that we all know. But this was 10 years earlier. This one's 92, the sedan's 91. And so in terms of daily drivers, I strive to own one of these. These are amazing. They're comfortable. They're loaded with technology. They're well maintained. They're not that expensive. And I want one of these. I want both of these really, really bad. But I'd have to say, this is the one that I would take. 100%. This is the one over the wagon or the sedan. I would take the sedan. I would take the V8. I would take this awesome gauge cluster, this amazing gauge cluster. I would take the technology, the refrigerator in the back. I would take all of this. I want this thing so bad now. I think here in America, we're so bent on getting the cool Japanese cars, the R32 GTRs, the AutoZam AZ1s, the Toyota Chasers, and everything like that. But these, I think I'd take this over a Chaser. I think I'd take this over an R32. It's just so comfortable. It's so nice. And even though this has an aftermarket exhaust and it is louder, you can make it quieter. You can make it really a quiet V8 luxury sedan. I love these cars. I love these Crowns. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something about the Toyota Crown Royal Sedan and Wagon. These cars are absolutely amazing. I mean, really, really cool. And I hope that comes across in the video because these are underappreciated right now. I feel like these will definitely go up in value. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, subscribe if you'd like to. Take care, guys.
There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight.